guys, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to The Wandering Reader. Today I'm going to be doing my July book haul. I picked up quite a few books in July, so I'm going to share them all with you here, and let's just jump into it. Firstly, a book that my husband bought for himself but that I'm really interested in reading too, and that is Neil Gaiman's Norse Mythology. This just recently came out in paperback, and I believe, well, I don't believe, why am I saying that? It's him sort of like not retelling, but like telling you what the Norse myths are, I think. Oh no, they are retold by him. I don't know anything about myths, let alone Norse mythology, so I thought this one would be a really good one to read just to kind of up my knowledge basically. Next up is one that I was sent by the publisher, and Tinder Press kindly sent me The Immortalists, and this is by Chloe Benjamin. And this was on one of my new Book Buzz videos, I believe at the beginning of the year. And this tells the story of the four Gold children. They live in New York, and one day they go and see a travelling psychic. He tells them when they're all going to die in their lives, and then it follows them as they grow up and become adults. And I suppose we're going to see whether those predictions come true basically. I've heard really good things about this. You would have seen this on my holiday TBR, so hopefully by now I'll have read this and I'll have liked it. I was in Waterstones about a week ago now, I think, and I saw that Manhattan Beach by Jennifer Egan had come out in paperback. This was longlisted for the Women's Prize this year. I didn't know this as well, but it says it's the winner of the Pulitzer Prize as well, so that's really interesting. This was one of the long-listed books that I was sort of more interested in, and this is about the first female diver during the Second World War, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's the Second World War. So yeah, set in Manhattan, I think it's going to be good. One that I had on my July book wish list that went up a couple of weeks ago was LMNOP, and this is by Mark Dunn. When I was in Waterstones, I had some vouchers left over from my birthday, and so I decided to kind of look for some books that I've had on my wish list that I wouldn't normally sort of see straight away in a supermarket or at the front of a bookshop or whatever. Try and look for some more, obscure is the wrong word, but kind of more hard to find books, I suppose. And this was one of them, and this is about a town where the phrase that uses all the letters of the alphabet, which is something like the lazy dog jumps over the, I can't remember what it is. Yeah, and there's a monument in the town to commemorate the fact that this was the originally where the phrase comes from, and then the letters start going missing from this monument, and the people of the town are forbidden to use these letters. And I just found that a really interesting concept, so hopefully it lives up to my expectations. This next one, I've never read anything by this author before. I do have one of her other books on my shelf, but I've never read her before. But this book has been getting a lot of buzz lately, and again, it recently came out in paperback, and it is I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. And this is about her 19 near-death experiences, or brushes with death, or something like that. Or no, 19, it says 17. 17 brushes with death. And I've heard really good things about this, and that Maggie O'Farrell in general is a good writer, so when I saw this for a good price I picked it up. This next book is one that I bought because it was a BookTuber recommends book for July, and that was These Violent Delights, and this is by Victoria Namkung. This is a book about a girl who was taken advantage of by a teacher when she was a student at a very prestigious school in America, and she's doing her internship at a newspaper, and she basically writes her story and it's published in the newspaper, and then it's about that case opening against the teacher and about other people coming forward and stuff like that, and it's got a lot to do with rape culture, but also like abuse against young girls, and kind of like the backlash of that and what happens, and social media, and yeah, all of that kind of stuff. I have read this already. I did really enjoy it. You'll hear more of my thoughts in my July wrap up. Another book that I'm taking with me, that I took with me on holiday, is Educated by Tara Westover. This is a non-fiction memoir about Tara Westover's life growing up in a very sort of closed off society where she doesn't go to school, she doesn't go to the doctors if she's ill, and it's about her breaking free of that and then educating herself. I've heard very, very good things about this, and I just couldn't resist picking up a copy of it, so hopefully I'll enjoy that when I'm on holiday. Another book that I picked up with my birthday money is A Tale for the Time Being, and this is by Ruth Aseki. This is one that I put on my wish list a couple of months ago when I saw Jen talk about it over at Jen Campbell. And it says on the back, within the pages of this book lies the diary of a girl called Nao. Riding the waves of the tsunami, it's making its way across the ocean. It will change the life of the person who finds it. It might just change yours too. So yeah, Jen had good things to say about it, so I saw it and I picked it up. This next book I won in a Twitter competition, and it is Santa Montefore's The Temptation of Gracie. This is her newest release. It's an absolutely stunning book. I've never read one of her books before, but this says, when Gracie Burton stumbles upon an advertisement for a week-long cookery course in the heart of Tuscany, she cannot resist and ploughs her life savings into the trip. Shy and unadventurous, Gracie hasn't been anywhere for almost 40 years. No one is more surprised by the sudden excursion than Gracie's daughter Karina, who's too busy running her successful business in London to ever visit her widowed mother or spend time with her 17-year-old daughter Anastasia. Having grown distant over the years, in many ways the three women barely know each other. They decide to accompany Gracie and travel to the breathtakingly beautiful hillside town of Colodoro, where the elusive Count Tancredi Bassanelli has been compelled to open his doors to paying guests. Yet everything is not as it appears. Gracie is harbouring the secret of an extraordinary life that preceded her family. As she revisits her past, the love she lost and the tragedy that destroyed her world and propelled her back to England, will the magic of Italy revive her adventurous spirit and allow her to open her heart once more? So this is signed as well, which is really cool. Yeah, like I said, I've never read anything by this author before. This seems like the perfect summer holiday read. So I might have to read that when I get back off my holiday in August. Another book that I recently talked about in my July Book Buzz video was Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. Now that I'm looking at this, it looks a little bit battered. I bought this off of Amazon, but there we go. It's got like a little bit of a crease here and stuff. This is obviously the classic tale, and when I put it on my wish list I talked about the fact that I went and saw the open air play at Regent's Park recently. Really loved it and really want to read the story now, so I'm going to add this to my children's collection. I picked up a used copy of Peace Like a River, and this is by Leif Enger. This was supposed to be the BookTuber Recommends book that I read in June. That didn't happen, but at least I have a copy of it now, so I'll read that at some point. And I was just looking through my Amazon wish list and one day and just decided to buy something on a whim, and so I picked up the Tokaido Road, a novel of feudal Japan. It's by Lucia Sinclair Robson. This is a historical fiction book that I put on my wish list a couple of months ago now. Hadn't talked about it because it was the month where I had like loads of stuff, and I was like, if I talk about everything I'll be here forever. But this was a book that Jenny King recommended in one of her historical fiction recommendations videos, and it's basically set in Japan, which I've not read much of but want to read more of. It says, I'll just read you a little bit of the blurb. This is how, so lonely am I, my soul is a floating weed, severed at the roots. This is how Lady Asano has felt since the forced suicide execution of her father. Adrift in a dangerous world, Lady Asano vows to avenge her father's death and restore his name to honour. To do so, she will have to travel the Tokaido Road. So it's about basically her journey. I mean, this is an absolutely fantastic cover. It's a little bit of a battered hardback edition, but it's got deckled edges. And then when I opened it up, I was like, just going to have a little look at what sort of edition this is. This says it's a first edition in here, and I think I paid something like £2 for it, and it is in quite good condition, which I was so pleased about. There was a little note in here, or like a little bit of paper, which I can't find now. I think I've taken it out. Oh no, I haven't, hold on. Yeah. Must get tablets from Doctor. I don't know whether you can see that. I just love it when you buy second-hand stuff and then you find stuff in there. But it's in quite good condition for a first edition. It's got these lovely pink patterned end papers, and then it's just cream underneath. But yeah, I think this is quite an unusual historical fiction book to read. Yeah, I'm just gonna. I think it's gonna look really pretty on my shelf. So glad I had it. And then the rest of the books I have to show you are ones that all ones that I picked up in a charity shop very recently. So the first of those is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Finally got my hands on a copy of this. Lent this out to somebody years ago. Never got it back. I'm not going to get it back now, so I'm not in touch with them anymore. And I've been looking for a relatively good version of it. This looked like it fit the job, so I bought it. I've been kind of looking for some historical fiction books, and there are a few in here as well as some kind of contemporary romance ones as well. And I have here The Rose of Sebastopol by Catherine McMahon. So this is a really pretty cover. This says Russia 1854. Don't read a lot of stuff from Russia, that's excellent. As the Crimean War grinds on, Rosa Barr, young, headstrong and beautiful, travels to the battlefields determined to save as many of the wounded as she can. For Marielle Lingwood, Rosa's cousin, the war is contained within the pages of her scrapbook, in her London sewing circle, in the letters she receives from Henry, her fiancé, a celebrated surgeon who's also volunteered to work within the shadow of the guns. But when Henry falls ill and Rosa's communications cease, Mariella finds herself drawn inexorably towards the war. Following the trail of her elusive and captivating cousin, Mariella's epic journey takes her from the domestic restraint of Victorian London to the ravished landscape of the Crimea. As she ventures deeper into the dark heart of the conflict, Mariella's ordered world begins to crumble and she finds she has much to learn about secrecy, faithfulness and love. I mean, that sounds really good. This cover is stunning and I think I'm really going to enjoy that. Next is Before We Met by Lucy Whitehouse. I've had a couple of Lucy Whitehouse's books on my wishlist for a while. This is one of them. All it says on the back is whirlwind romance, a perfect marriage. Hannah Riley has seized her chance at happiness until the day her husband doesn't come home. Can you ever really know what happened before you met? Okay, it's quite short as well, so yeah, I think, is it a thriller? I don't really know, but sounds good. I was really excited to see a copy of Caravel, and this is by Stephanie Garber. This has been compared to The Night Circus, which intrigues me. It's got these really lovely yellow sprayed edges. Yeah, so this is the UK paperback, I think. So I think it's about two sisters who get tickets to this circus, and then one of the sisters goes missing and the other one has to look for her and kind of find out what happened. Legendary, the second book, has just come out in this. This is getting a little buzz at the moment, so yeah, I was quite excited when I found a copy of it in the charity shop. Another book that I've had on my wish list for a while is The Paris Wife, and this is by Paula McLean. I had this out from the library a couple of months ago, just never got around to reading it. So when I saw it in a charity shop, I thought, well, I'll buy it and then I'll have it on my shelf whenever I feel the need. I think this is about Ernest Hemingway's relationship with his wife. So yeah, there's that. Next up is The Blood of Flowers, and this is by Anita Amiresvani, I think. This again has got an absolutely stunning cover. Love that. This says, a village girl's dreams of marriage end on the death of her father. Cast on the mercy of relatives in fabled Isfahan, she and her mother are reduced to servitude until she reveals a talent for designing carpets, an invaluable skill in 17th century Iran. Hope is short-lived, for a disastrous headstrong act results in the girl's disgrace. Caught between forces she can barely comprehend, she faces a life lived in the whim of others. At the whim of others, sorry, unless she is prepared to risk everything and choose a future based on her own strength and will. Never read anything set in Iran, let alone in 17th century Iran, so I think that's going to be a really interesting historical fiction. Next up we have The Fever Tree, and this is by Jennifer McVeigh. This is one I've had on my wishlist for a while as well, and again it's got a really pretty cover. This is set in 1880 in South Africa. It says Frances Irvine, left penniless after her father's sudden death, is forced to immigrate to the Cape. In this barren country she meets two very different men, one driven by ambition, the other by his ideals. When the rumour of a smallpox outbreak sends her to the diamond mines, she finds a ruthless world of greed and exploitation, of human lives crushed in the scramble for wealth and power. But here at last she sees her path to happiness. Torn between passion and integrity, she makes a choice that has devastating consequences. So, I don't think I've read many things set in South Africa. I think Disgrace was set in South Africa, and I've read that, but apart from that, not read anything else, so yeah, excited about that one. We have a Sarah Morgan book here, and this is Miracle on Fifth Avenue. I think this is part of the series that I said, I've got the first one that I've got on my holiday TBR. Can't remember what that's called now. I think it's part of that series, or it might be a standalone, one of the two. But yeah, I think it is. Set at Christmas, it looks like from the cover. Might save it for that time. But yeah, a romance novel. A book that I've been looking for a little while is Girl with a Pearl Earring by Tracy Chevalier. I've heard very, very good things about this book. I read New Boy by her last year and really liked it. And I've had a few people say to me, you really do have to read Girl with a Pearl Earring. I've never seen the film either. I might have seen a couple of clips from it, but not it the whole way through. I was quite surprised by how short it was as well. So yeah. Also was really excited to see The Storied Life of A.J. Thickery by Gabrielle Zevin. This is one that people talk about on BookTube quite a lot, and I believe this is about a man who works in a bookshop and a baby or a 2-year-old gets left on his doorstep one evening and he has to take her in, and I suppose it's about how she changes his life maybe. So yeah. I have a Lisa Genova book here called Left Neglected. I read Still Alice by her a couple of years ago, really enjoyed it. And this one says Sarah Nicholson has it all, the high-flying career, the loving family, the second home, but does she have time to enjoy it? Too busy to pay attention, can she see what's left neglected? One fateful day while driving to work, Sarah looks away from the road for 1 second too long. In the blink of an eye, her chaotic life comes to a screeching halt. In the wake of a devastating accident, it's time for her to choose. What does she really want? Yeah, sounds good. 2 books left. The first of those is Bodies of Light by Sarah Moss. I was really intrigued to see this in a bookshop, in a charity shop near me. This is another one of Sarah Moss's books. I said I wouldn't be buying any more of hers, but I got it for 99p. I mean, what can you say? Not really sure what this is about. Whether this is one of her sort of like literary fiction books or whether it's one of her historical fiction books. But I thought for £1, I'd give it a go. And then lastly is 10 Tiny Breaths by K.A. Tucker. This is another one that I've had on my wish list for quite a few years and I'm really happy to see it. I think this is another American book. It is, yeah. Don't really know what this is about. What does it say on the back? 4 years ago, Casey Cleary's life imploded when her car was hit by a drunk driver, killing her parents, boyfriend and best friend. Still haunted by memories of being trapped inside, listening to her mother take her last breath, Casey wants to leave her past behind. Armed with 2 bus tickets, Casey and her 15-year-old sister Livy escape Grand Rapids, Michigan to start over in Miami. They're struggling to make ends meet at first, but Casey's not worried. She can handle anything but her mysterious neighbour in apartment 1D. So yeah, so I think it's like a YA contemporary, but yeah, there's that. So there we go guys, they were all of the books that I picked up in July. Quite a big book haul again, but there we go. I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments below. Have you read any of these? What did you think of them? And what are some of the books that you hauled in July? Thanks very much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.